you people back in the Shire, turn your porch lights off because we're coming home with a trophy.
Hey there, welcome to SharkCast Pod, a podcast dedicated to the greatest sporting club in the history of the world, the mighty Cronulla Sharks. My name is Sam Shanazian, OG from 2016. This show is brought to you by Dyson Logistics, the Royal Motor Yacht Club in Port Hacking, and Jason Halls at Cripps & Cripps Real Estate. Thanks for being in touch. We'll get to your mail shortly at SharkCastPod on the DMs, sharkcastpod@gmail.com. Some of you have been buying merchandise. We appreciate that. RugbyLeagueMerch.com. You'll find SharkCast on there with a bunch of other podcasts and artists and that kind of thing. But we're here to talk about the Cronulla Sharks. I am joined by a good mate of mine. He's the youngest regular co-host that we have on SharkCast Pod, although he's now officially an old man at the age of 30. He's a passionate Sharks fan, a passionate man. He loves music. He loves long walks on the beach. And lately he's been saying a lot of swear words via the text message, both positively and negatively, just coming out of the old text. But that's fine because that's how we like Mr. Joshua Bolling. How you going, my friend?
Sam, good to be back. New season. I think it's my first episode this year, so looking forward to get stuck into a win.
We're here to talk about that win. We won 30 points to 26 at Parramatta on Friday evening, the early game. We won and kept the Johnny Manor Cup. And I have to apologise to our listeners because last week I did not mention that we were playing for the Johnny Manor Cup. And usually I do so because it's such an important part of our history and our future. So well done to the club, and we send our love to the Manor family as always. A pretty exciting and fun game, Josh. And early on it wasn't looking too good, but they showed a lot of spirit, and I think they were the better team, right?
In the fullness of time, they were. I think it was patchy there, and there was some periods where we dominated, and there's some periods where Parramatta were on top. But you have to say probably in the end we did deserve it, but it was, it was a bit of back and forth there. It was a good game for a neutral. I'm sure I watched the game at home with my roommate, who is a staunch Dragons fan, and he got to watch me pace around the room and sit in 3 different chairs and not be able to sit still as I tend to do, and carry on and yell. But it was a good game.
So 5 tries each. The goal kicking was the difference. And yeah, Para came out red hot. We were not switched on and wasn't looking good early. But then I guess we started holding the ball. We had good field position and possession. And then the points started to leak for them. And our man at the moment, Will Kennedy, was highly involved. He got a hat trick and just heavily involved in the game. Give me, Josh, your initial thoughts on just how we won it, who was amazing, what you thought about the overall performance.
Well, I've watched the game back a few times just to get a better grasp of it, and I just wish if our starts to halves are really poor, and I think the players have addressed that in the media, and we make it so hard for ourselves to have to play lights out like that for an extended period of time, where I wish if we could just get in the wrestle of the game early, we can dominate. And we've shown that without leaking 2 quick tries, that game could have been dead at the 60th minute mark.
And the first try was particularly soft.
Look, it was, but it was some good play from Parramatta. That Hopgood is
the offload.
He's going to be a superstar, and I'm not too critical of that one, because at the end of the day, like if someone gets through and does a backwood flip, offload, and the forwards crunching on it, look, that happens, and you just say well done. The second try was the one that annoyed me.
Really?
Because getting scored on off the kickoff.
Yeah.
From another offload from the same guy who just punished you.
Yeah, sure.
And you let him do the exact same thing again, and everyone, Jesse jams in.
He kept doing it.
Yeah.
Jesse kept jamming, and he kept offloading that guy. He was offloading.
He's going to be really good at the Panther Junior.
Yeah.
So, but as a neutral, I'm sure, again, people would have been really impressed with him. But no, I thought we did really well and showed a lot of heart to get back into the game, because it would have been easy to let Bank West. Oh, is it Bank West anymore? They're hard to run down there, and to fight back against a good side. I mean, I'm not sure if they're quite grand finalists again this year, but they're still a good side. They're a top 8 team, and a lot of sides would have lost that game. So I was impressed with that.
It was looking a bit dicey towards the end, but take away I guess, the hot start in both halves. And I was quite happy with the Sharks' performance overall. Defensively, it's still not where we need to be. They're actually, it's only 2 rounds in, so I don't really mind, but they're conceding the most points. They can fix that up easily enough. But, yeah, what did we concede? 26 points last week.
27, I think.
27. Yeah, so that's not good.
No, well, we are as of round 2, we're the best attacking side, but the worst defensive side. So I would probably rather it be that way than the opposite.
Sure.
Because the point scoring is harder to manufacture than, defensive prowess, I guess you could say. So, and we've said this for a few years now where they'll fix it up, and it hasn't, and it's continued again. I think they said Guru on Bloke in a Bar was saying that our last 4 games from this year to last year, the last 5 games, we've conceded over 30 points or 25 plus. So,
but before that, there was nothing.
Exactly. So I don't know what's
kind of weird
going on there. Look, sometimes you have to pay credit to the side, like we have the opposition, and say there's good tries, but then sometimes, Mitchell Moses in the 68th minute or so running straight through the middle.
Yeah.
Off another offload. Offloads seem to be the thing we can't handle. And I don't know if that's because we compress the defence so much and get so many men into tackles that if they get an offload away, the defensive line is shot to bits. So
I thought after the initial onslaught, they held it well. They stopped the offload. Yeah. And then it was only towards the end of the game, particularly with that last try, where I got pretty worried. It was like in between that, the call went out and went, guys, stop the offload. And they mostly did.
Yeah.
But it pretty much was the only thing that was causing them to score tries against us.
I think as well, and I think we've spoken about it in the chat before, that I think we have the best bench in the NRL, and I think that is playing a major factor in us getting back into games that most NRL sides don't have the type of bench we do. So when, your Paulos and your RCGs are going off and we're taking our Toby and Ueli off, we're bringing on still first graders. Cam McInnes is coming on, Royce Hunt, Oregon Kafusi. And they're bringing on, more or less reserve graders. And that's happened 2 weeks in a row now. We've got back into it once we've continued that onslaught, and sides can't handle that. It's when the big boys come back on that we're struggling. We're struggling at the start and at the end of games where the first graders are on.
And there is a massive spoiler, which we will not wait until the end to tell you, and that is that Jack Williams is back on the bench this week. So Connor, who didn't play, and we'll talk about that soon, Connor Tracy didn't play, but this week he's named 4, not big guys, but 4 forwards on the bench. So it'll be even better. Yeah,
I guess we'll get to that later, but I really like the bench and, the squad in general this week. It's a really strong side.
So Will Kennedy, he came back for another strong game. Good the first week. Even better this week. Hat-trick, line breaks galore, and heavily involved. My elderly father reminded me that he dropped a bomb.
When was the last time he did that?
Well, that's what he said, but he wasn't happy. And I said, yeah, but everything else around that was 10 out of 10.
And that bomb was unbelievable.
It was. It was spiraling around. But fantastic, and a lot of Sharks fans are really happy. Some feel vindicated, some feel relieved, but everyone's coming together for the love of Will Kennedy. And we'll talk about that a little bit later, about possibly re-signing him, but a dynamite performance.
Yeah, but probably one of his best games of his career, if not the best. I've been pretty critical of Will in the last few years, but I think I'm pretty fair judge when someone's well. I'll give them the credit. When they're underperforming, I say the same. So unbelievable start to the season. This is all I want from Will. Obviously he's not going to be lights out 10 out of 10 like this every week, but if he gives this type of performance with or without the points and the try assists, that's all I'm asking of the guy. And put his body on the line, and looks fit, looks quicker. His decision making has been arguably perfect throughout the 2 games so far as well.
It's like he's been studying how to be a modern day fullback. His support play was exceptional,
which we've always been critical of.
Probably his best game for that facet of the game. And I've been watching it on replay. I loved the Ronaldo intercept when they were about to score. Ronaldo didn't freak out when he realised he didn't have the pace. Took the tackle beautifully. Yep. Talakai, who was there at dummy half? Was it Talakai? Someone was there. Then Talakai had it. He runs. He simply draws the first guy coming to him, and it looks easy as, but he must have been so tempered just to take the hit up. draws in the man, goes to Kennedy. Kennedy does a few little sort of glides around.
He still has work to do.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And I think that is such a mature try for those guys. And I loved Talakai's role in that. I can't state that enough.
I remember you said that in the group text, and I didn't really notice it at the time.
Well, it's not that flashy. But I just loved the way he played it. It was so cool.
One of those things where you don't notice that he's done the right thing, but had he stuffed it up, we all would have been into him.
And it would have been chance over.
Yep. I was really impressed. And I guess this comes back to a thing that I've gone on about for years now, that this side is starting to mature together. Yeah. Well, I was just looking at the games played this afternoon on my way back from work, and I think there's about 5 or 6 of these guys that are all almost identical games played, and they're all around that 60 to 70 game. You've got Jesse's at nearly 100, which we're getting to. Yep. Talakai's in that 60. Ronaldo, Sione, Kennedy, Katoa, Blake, like all these guys now are in that perfect spot of like they've soaked up enough experience now where they know what they're doing, but they're still young enough to learn and get better. And I think that all plays into it. They've played together for a few years now as well, right? So
and a whole bunch of them played together underneath that before.
Exactly. So and that you can't put a price on that. Like that doesn't just happen, and that takes time and patience with the players and from the fans as well. And that try is a perfect encapsulation of that. Yeah. Of like knowing each other's game. What's his name? Kennedy, like holding back. He could have easily gone in.
Yes.
And knowing that Talakai was going to make the right decision. It was one of the better tries we've scored for a while.
Yeah, and he hasn't been compared to this fellow for a little while, although it has followed his whole career, but that was very Peachy-esque as well.
Yes.
Sort of the ball goes up, you think, he's going to sort of get it stolen, but he drags it back in, escapes the guy, goes over pretty clean.
And I again, like he said, that Ronaldo didn't panic, and which is the opposite of what Jesse did at the end of the game, where all he needed to do was take the tackle, and you wouldn't be upset if Ronaldo had tried something silly to try and get the try.
If you watch that back, he definitely sort of, doesn't pause, but he stops the straight running.
He looks,
but he looks and goes, and it's a long look.
Yeah.
It's like, don't look, brother, just keep running.
Yeah.
That's something he can take out of it, as well as he did.
You can't also be upset about being run down from Mitch Moses, maybe with the top 5 fastest guys in the NRL.
Well, I don't know, but the fact is he stopped a try and then he created one, so I couldn't care less.
That's a 12-point turnaround, really.
And again, I'd rather him, if he can't make it, I'd rather him fall with the football safely, get the play the ball out.
Give someone else a chance to do it. Yeah,
absolutely. I thought that our halves were terrific. I thought Matt Moylan was very much improved on his first week's effort and much more like last year.
Yep.
And Trindle, again, very similar to his first week, very solid, steered them around well, and very safe.
Yeah, Tricky kicked a 40-20 last week.
Yes.
And he essentially kicked one again this week.
Did
he? With the error from the Parramatta fullback. That was going to be a 40-20, and it caused the error anyway. So kicking game's been really good from Trick. I'm so happy for him. The listeners know how much I love Trindle and want to see him do well, and I want to see him in this side for an extended period. And I'm glad he's taken it with both hands and probably proved a lot of people wrong as well. Absolutely. And proved probably to himself that he does belong in first grade. And maybe that plays against us with how good he's playing, because some other sides are going to see him sitting
he's locked up at least.
I know, but if someone wants him, they offer him, but not to get into that, but super impressed with him. Him and Moylan actually have a really nice combination going. Yeah. And Moylan's did his thing again, like a really nice light. You just don't expect that from Moyser anymore with losing that pace, but he's still so deceptive. And if you look at that try on the front-on vision, what sells it and what gets him the break is his eyes and his hands, which has always been his best asset. His eyes are locked to the left centre, and that draws in the second rower. It was actually Hopgood who he beats on the inside because he's convinced with the eyes and his hands out the front that he's going to go left, and then he cuts back on the inside and it's game over. And he had Teague on his left too, so we had options. Which is awesome. It's perfect, because if Kennedy's not there, Blake was behind him, and we had Teague on the left, so we're scoring that try no matter what. And that's something that's been constant the first 2 weeks, is players in motion, whether it's support play or decoy runners. I feel like they've amped that up a little bit more. Like last year it was definitely happening, but they've started really consistently. It's like, this is how we're going to attack. It feels like we're always are a chance when we're on the line. You know, sometimes you just feel like, oh, we're not going to score here. I always feel like we're a chance just because of the shapes we play. And we've developed, like you said, we've developed on that slingshot play with Kennedy we had last year that worked for the first half of the year. We've still got that, but now it just seems like we've just got more options. Yeah. Like we got Teague and Britton who are killing it at the moment, who are such tough runners. They run good lines. You've got, I know we might get into the controversialness of Dale and McInnes playing through the middle, but there's still options.
I don't know if it's controversy.
I mean, people, I like it. I like the little nuggety guys going in for those, ducking under and slamming it down. And it'll come off this year. Yeah. Plenty of times, I think. And then we've got these great wingers and centers to throw the ball to. If it's not working, Sifa Talakai runs at at a center, cut out ball to our wingers who are great finishers. Like there's so many options and points of attack that would terrify sides. If we can just fix up this defense, we've got a really good side and a really good chance this year. Yeah, and the group of players we haven't spoken about is the forwards, and I have been critical of them for a little while now, but they were really good. And in particular, a shout out to Toby Rudolph, who I've been riding a little bit hard, but he was fantastic. Excellent. And I'm very happy to say that. Bit of a slow start as a team, so I'm not going to pick on the forwards in that slow start because they all started slow. But within sort of 15, 20 minutes, they were winning that battle. And they held it for most of the game. I thought both props were good, but I thought Rudolph was outstanding. And I'm loving Britton Nikora. How am I pronouncing his name? Nikora. I'm loving Britton Nikora this year. And he finished strong, we know that. But man, and we can go on and on about the angle run, but he's doing what we wanted. He's running straight as well. I mean, he's doing hit-ups. The best thing that I saw about that game was in our first set, he took 2 hit-ups. Yeah. And not just like... He's a strong carry. He ran really hard. I think he probably made 20 metres from those 2 runs in the first set. And I think that's a really good indication of where Britt's at as a player at the moment. I think he's starting to believe at how good we all thought he would be. Yeah. That there was a period there last year where I thought I'd be happy for him to go. Mm-hmm. And now... Well, for the money that was being thrown around. Yeah. But if he delivers this 7 to 9 out of 10s every week, he's going to be one of the best second rows in the comp. And then we have this other guy on the other edge, Teague Wilton, who is just super impressive. Who after probably had not his best game last week, I thought he tackled anything that had a pulse and was incredible for us on that edge. He was much better. He was much better this week and tackled a lot and ran a lot. And I really like just they're very different players on either side with Britton and Teague, but essentially the same thing, strong runners, strong defenders. They have the same skill set, but they go about it a different way. Yeah, slightly different shapes of body. Which I love. I love different shapes. Yeah. Which has probably been something I've been a bit concerned about with our forward pack is that when you look at Dale and McInnes, they're the same type of player. You look at Toby and Ueli, the same kind of player and same style. But if they play like that every week, it won't matter. Yeah, and I think moving forward, you'll see, and we'll talk about the news as well, some tinkering there as time moves on. Fitzy's only been here for a year. He hasn't had a lot of time to buy guys, move guys on. And I think that the size thing will change where they're not all the robotic same guys, same height, same weight. I thought Dale Finucane was outstanding. I loved him playing more minutes. Mm-hmm. His meters were up. I'm not a huge fan of him at the moment with the line engagement, drawing and passing. Because I feel like he's such a powerful runner that he's almost more effective doing that and then every now and then getting one away. I think that's more McInnes' role. I think he should be doing that. Yes. Not to say that Dale doesn't have a skill set, but McInnes is just better at it. Yes. And so when they're both on the field together, Dale just run as hard as you can every time. And McInnes still, I mean, I know McInnes got some grief online about his 2 errors, but I thought it soured his performance for the fans because I thought he was exceptional along with Dale. I thought they changed the game. He ran for 130 metres and made 30 tackles. Didn't miss one. Can't be going too bad. Yeah. Yeah, there's some errors there. Yeah. He's got to stop going for the crash play. We'll talk about that as well. I'm convinced that once he sorts out, and I think him and Blake sort out maybe that partnership a little bit better over the season, that he'll nab 4 or 5 tries doing it this year. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Do the crash play
every 3 or 4 sets you're down there.
Correct. Yes.
Don't do it. Tackle 1 to 6 in the one set.
I agree. No, we do it.
I think we've seen it 2 weeks in a row.
And that's on Blake. That's on Blake doing that because sure they're running that line, but they can be decoys through that. Blake doesn't have to pass them the ball. And you're right. There was a few times there where we did it 3 or 4 times in a set.
Yeah.
And that just gives the Parramatta defense too much time to reset on the edges.
Yeah. What did you make of Blake?
It was okay. Probably the same as last week. Like he ran a little bit more, which I liked, and he didn't stutter and stop, and he actually completed his run. I think did he run for about 60 odd meters this week, as opposed to bugger all last week. Defensively, always really strong, really good, and he hasn't irritated me too much so far with his holding down and giving away silly penalties, which long may it continue. Still want more from him, but hookers are hard to come by in this competition, and we've still got one that can play 80 minutes, and for the most part, it's not stifling the attack, but it could become a problem if these crash plays don't stop and give the ball to the halves. Is my concern.
Maybe he's missing Nico because, I mean, I don't remember too many of them last year with such repetition. Maybe he just needs Nico going, hey, pass me the ball.
Yeah, that's the thing. I love a crash play. If you can get a cheap try barging over, go for it in front of the sticks. Love that. I'll take them. I'll take 6 of them.
I mean, wait till Hazelton comes back or something. You know what I mean? Like, I think
Toby and Ueli should be the only ones doing them.
Toby's good at it.
Besides an occasional Cam when he's on, and we don't have maybe a Kafusi.
So let's talk about the subs. We're going through everyone. So we talked about Cam. So Royce Hunt played limited minutes, and so his stats aren't amazing. But I noticed when he came on, our energy was up, and we scored a couple of tries.
Yeah, well, you felt his presence when he came on. It might have only been 15 minutes, but it was a good 15 minutes. And from memory, he had a really big run that actually led to the Kennedy second try when Moyler made the break. Yeah. So, we probably don't score that without Royce bending the line and giving Moylan the option with defenders on the back foot. So
it looks like he needs a bit more time each week.
I think so.
We've seen that before from Royce.
I like Royce in that 20 to 25 minute stint. I think that's
he can
perfect
be that
for
guy.
him.
Yeah. Oregon Kafusi had a very solid game like week 1. I mean, it's not highlight reel stuff, but it's solid. No, it doesn't need to be.
He's a big boy, and he surprisingly, I don't know if I just maybe didn't notice, but he looks really fit. And he never looks too tired. He's got a quick play of the ball, and all I can ever ask from a forward in general, let alone a bench forward, is give me 10 meters a run average and make your tackles. And he's done that 2 weeks in a row. I think he's made 80 or 90 meters off the equivalent runs, and that's all I want from the guy.
Connor Tracy did not make the field. We'll talk about that later on. He wasn't used. Yeah, overall, an exciting game. A little frustrating. Got to work on those starts to each half. But I got to say, I'm loving the style.
Oh, yeah.
It's fun.
It's attractive.
When it clicks, you're out of your seat.
Yeah.
I guess that's why I'm sort of a bit offended by the crash play, because it's like...
We don't need it.
What are you doing? You're dampening the product.
And the tries we're scoring they're always unreal. Like, they're highlight package worthy on a Fox promo. Like, Ronaldo out-leaping someone.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that. Another great one.
And I love a Dan Ganane Ronaldo.
Yeah, doesn't he? My God. So, yeah, loving the style, Josh. I'm loving the style. And if we can fix the defence, I've got to think we will. The coach loves defence. He sees what's going on.
Also, in that second half, what was really impressive was we got no help from the referee. I think they had 3 penalties and they had 3 set restarts done. I think we had almost nothing in that second half. Especially it was that start period again, where we struggled. We got hammered by, I think it was Sutton. He hammered us. And we did really well to not crumble under that.
Yeah, we did. And that's something about this team. There's obviously certain examples where it's not true, but mostly this team doesn't give up. The team's always in the fight. And that's what you want.
You always feel like this side's in a game, even if it was like a 30-12 with 15 minutes to go. I still believe that we can win.
Sharks win 30 points to 26, Josh. Happy days. I think we've covered everything that we can in the game. We'll be back after the break to talk about some news that is floating around. Please stay with us. We're having fun. Hope you're having fun too. SharkCast Pod back after the break. Dyson Logistics have been on board with SharkCast since day one. And because of that and their excellent service, we are proud to be associated with them. Dyson Logistics provides tailored logistical solutions to meet your individual client needs. and is set apart by its personalised service. Dyson is a strong worldwide agent network, enabling highly competitive rates, and I should also point out their head honcho is a lifelong season ticket holder of the mighty Cronulla Sharks. Find them online, www.dysonlogistics.com, or call them on 02 8339 1844. Dyson Logistics, service delivered.
So on the last it's Hines, and he's going to go to the air again. And oh my goodness! Ronaldo! Mulatalo! High above them!
Welcome back to SharkCast Pod, brought to you by Dyson Logistics, the Royal Motor Yacht Club in Port Hacking, and Jason Hawes at Cripps & Cripps Real Estate. Before we move on to the news section, Josh, a few things we forgot to discuss in the review segment. Jesse Ramian, and there is some mail about him later on, so we don't have to go too heavy or hard, but an unhappy game in a lot of ways because the glaring stuff was glaring. Now, before we get to that, he actually ran for 141 metres. He wasn't out there doing nothing. I don't want to give him a 0 out of 10, but some of the things were not good. Are we going to say the last part was the worst? Probably was.
Yeah, but there was also a moment where near the end of the game where it was like second tackle, Sione Katoa has an open run to the try line. All he has to do is give a pass on his chest.
Yeah.
We score, the game's dead. We don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
It's one of the worst passes you've ever seen. Sione probably still should have caught it.
He should have.
But he had a few errors in him as well. But the pass from Jesse was just outrageously poor, and I think it went out. I think Sione didn't have much of a chance. But and then I think they go down and they're back on us. When they've got 10 minutes, they start to believe, and then they make their comeback. So
yeah. I've got him with 5 misses as well.
Yeah, what do you think about the dropping 10 kgs off him?
I don't have any reason why. And I don't even know if it's exactly 10 kgs. For some reason, that's just floating around the world.
Right.
The shark world. He lost 10 kilograms, and we're all saying it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe he lost 3. I don't know.
But he definitely looks lighter,
He
doesn't
looks lighter on top.
Yeah.
And this is going to sound a bit silly, but as far as him playing with the weight that he's on now, I thought he was a lot better this week than last week.
Yeah, true.
Like he wasn't
true.
ragdolled. Like physically, he was fine. It was not so much the body weight this week. It was
the decision making.
The decision making.
Yeah.
So I have no doubt in the world, and if I can confirm it, I will. But I have no doubt in the world that he sat down in Fitz's office on Monday, and they went through the video, and that he just went, "There's no need for this."
Yeah.
I don't even think he would have yelled at him because they won. I don't even know if it's a yellow. I shouldn't say that. But they won the game. It was all okay. But yes, it could have gone the wrong way. They do the funny thing where they run backwards, or you don't run out, but you do something with it. You just die with the ball.
And look, you take this with Jesse.
He was going for it. He was going for the try.
Yeah.
So it's not like he was trying to do something bad. It just wasn't the time for it.
And I think he panicked when he was going out.
Maybe he didn't know about the clock.
Maybe,
and which is not good. You've got to be aware about all that stuff. So I don't. It's hard to say what he was thinking or what he was doing. I think he just saw try line, Katoa there.
And I like that he has that in him.
Yeah.
But just a little bit more game awareness. Step off your right, get in the middle of the field and take it. And
get away from that sideline.
But
that was a worry.
Well, you take this with Jesse. He has probably 2 of these in him a season, absolute stinkers. But he'll probably give you 6. Games where he scores 2 tries, has 180 metres.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he had a great year last year.
He did.
And remember how he started at Canberra and gave away the penalty?
Yeah, and that's I guess what I'm alluding to.
So, again, South round 1 this year, not a great game.
Yeah, it was okay.
We're a bit concerned about his physical prowess. Second week, some dumb decisions which results in the last play. So it's not end-of-world stuff. He needs to improve. I think he looks more comfortable at that playing weight week 2. So if he keeps going that way, maybe he'll put it on as the year goes on.
And I'm sure there's a reason for it. They don't, they're very scientific with all this stuff. Maybe that he gets more out of himself through 80 minutes at the lighter weight, or maybe they think he's a little bit faster, or
like we need to think sensibly about this sort of thing. It's not like he came back 10 kgs lighter or whatever the weight is, and went, "Hey, coach, look at me."
Oh, that's fine.
Like they're monitored every day of the week, what they're eating, what they're doing, what they're exercising, when they're exercising. The coach and more importantly, the staff know all about that stuff. And so if he said to them, "I want to drop some," they would have approved it. Alternatively, they maybe said to him, "Drop it."
Yeah, I would just love to know. I'd love to hear about it if like someone at the club could clarify, or just out of interest, just out of pure interest.
I would too, but that sort of stuff, the coach he doesn't like talking about.
No, fair enough.
Yeah, I can't
trade secrets.
I can't complain about that. The way he goes about his business. I know some people don't like it.
For all we know, Jesse might come out this week on his 100th game and absolutely destroy it and win everyone back, and all will be forgotten. And you'll get that with Jesse. You probably will.
Doesn't need to win back some people, because some people he hasn't lost. I just...
Oh, no, yeah.
You know what it's like, man. It's 2023. Someone's got to be the blame for something.
Yeah, and I'm as guilty as anyone. I mean,
we won by 4, but...
Yeah.
But I understand. Like, it was a ridiculous play.
Yeah.
It was a ridiculous play. So, and you and I were amused by the Parramatta players carry on.
Well, one of the most childish, I want to say, performances of a side I've seen in recent memory. Just every decision was argued and sooked about. And I mean, when Nicola scored that try, you see Mitch Moses flying almost into your living room off the TV at the referee, and there was absolutely nothing wrong with it. And
I think he's just looking for something.
I guess so. I mean, look at your teammates, mate. But I just thought it was funny in hindsight, knowing that we won, that the carry-on was for nothing, and that Clint Gutherson stayed down for a head knock and then complained and said we should have had a sin bin for a hard tackle, but he's the one that stayed down.
What was the tackle? I don't remember.
It was when Jesse jammed him and he whacked him, but there was no head contact. He chest-on-chested him, and then Clint stays down. They scored from that play. That was off the kickoff. Then they said, "Oh, Clint, you've got to go off. You stay down." And you see him mouthing off, and he's saying he should be sent to the bin. For what? Well, don't lay down.
Yeah.
I just...
So then ridiculous. He went off for 15. The game changed. We put up those bombs, and the other bloke couldn't catch him. And
that was the turning point.
It was. It really was.
Thank you, Clint.
This isn't the Para podcast. There's a couple of good ones out there if you want to listen to them. But the way that team managed their cap, and the way they're about to manage their cap...
And re-sign their head coach.
Well, that I don't really care about, but I guess he's making the decisions, but I just don't think those guys are worth that money. And I know we're about to offer the best player in the game a lot of money, but that's fine. He's the best player in the game.
Yeah, there's a difference. Yeah.
So
and a guy who's at his peak physical, performance of a guy who's on the other side of that. Still in a 29, 30 years old, but you're going to be paying for 4 years. He's going to be 34 by the time that contract ends.
Yeah, right.
At 1 point odd million.
I love the fact that if we hear that the money that we hear about is true, our halves are worth around $1 million in total. Our starting halves, who aren't playing at the moment, but our starting halves. Or even if you take that equation out, our halves last week were worth probably
maybe $600,000. Yeah.
Their halfback is asking for 1.3 or 4 per year, so that's double that. The 6 is on good money, and he's a good player, but he's on good money. And the fullback is on, I don't even know, but a lot of money.
Yep.
But I just think that's where clubs do it wrong. And you look at our team, and okay, Nico's going to sign through the roof, but aside from a couple of other guys, everyone's kind of in a really level playing field.
And I guess that's the difference of a team that wants to stay together and guys looking out for themselves, which is totally fine. Yeah, it's your career and you've got to make as much money as you can. But
absolutely. I should point out, if Mitch Moses can get that money, then do it. Absolutely.
But that's the difference between the sides who win premierships and the sides who compete around that, what Parramatta have done.
And I'm not saying that our guys should necessarily be on more money as far as the talent goes. Like, some of them are probably on too much money, to be honest, in my own opinion. But I love that fact that we these days, with the errors we made in the past, as far as caps go, even as recent as a couple of years ago, it's all just really well thought out. You're not going to overpay someone who doesn't deserve it, and if you do, it's out of loyalty, and you hope they make it up to you, which most of them do. Anyway, I love the fact that at the moment our club is just so consistently not only happy but talented. A guy like, let me look at this team list. A guy like Will Kennedy, who at the moment is not on superstar money, is playing like a superstar.
Yeah.
And so he'll get a bit of an upgrade. It won't be crazy because he's not that player. But under our coach, under our system with these teammates, He might play like a superstar.
And they might stay for a little bit less to stay in a good team. And this is why the Roosters and the Melbournes have been good for so long, because they'd rather stay with their mates for a little bit less and be winners and be winning games and playing for comps every year. And that's the difference between an elite club and a club that's going through a good period.
That's right. So we just wanted to recap on that. So we hope you enjoyed our spiel on the game. Now to the news. A little bit floating around. We did remind you last week, or announced last week, we're going to do our 3-2-1s and have a SharkCast Pod Player of the Year as voted by the hosts. And so all the votes are in, I think, for this week, Josh, which is good. You can imagine who got the 3 points.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how we're going to do it, if we're going to announce at some point who's winning and then keep it secret, or just announce every week. I don't know how we'll do it. We haven't really thought it out. But it is legit, and we are going to get a little award for the winner, which at the moment is neck and neck between Braden Trindle and Will Kennedy. Nico has announced that he might be back for the derby next week. Is it derby next week? Am I making that up? Week after?
No, it's next week.
Yeah, Sunday week. So Nico might be back for that, if not possibly the week after. That's good. It's good news. I guess we don't want to rush this.
No, not when we have our two halves currently playing like they are. If we were 0-3, it might be a different conversation, but we're 1 out of 2, and we'd like to think hopefully it'll be a good chance this week. So I guess saying that, you don't want to rush it regardless of performances of the side to get Nico in. I'm of the opinion that we're already getting to that round 3 and we have a bye in round 6. Do you just bite the bullet and say come back round 7?
Because is it Warriors round 5?
Yes, at home.
Josh.
Is that a side that we need to risk Nico on?
I don't mind the return in week 7. I don't mind that.
Yeah, that's all right. I
didn't think about it.
I was in that round 5.
Because I'm backing us to beat the Raiders.
Yeah.
I would think we'll beat the Dragons. Then Warriors at home. It's all winnable.
And then a bye. And then I don't know who we have after the bye, but...
Doesn't matter. Nico's back.
Yeah, exactly. So...
All right, we'll see what happens. I'm sure the coach is all over that. Speaking of the coach, he says the club is locked in discussions with Will Kennedy for possible contract extension. Quote, plenty of discussion there, so that'll happen. We've got to go back to Will. There's a bit of toing and froing. We can't discuss the actual discussion at this point in time, but he's important to us, and that's all I'll say there. I don't think Will gets the credit he deserves for what he provides our team. The players love him, and they love playing alongside him. So it sounds like he's going to sign.
Oh, yeah, I would be shocked if he didn't. I guess they're just probably going over the years and the amount. It's not a question of going somewhere else. So, I mean, I guess we'll just if he keeps playing well, he can earn himself a bit more money and maybe an extra year. So it's only good for Cronulla. So this is only a benefit for us. If he's playing well, we're winning games, and he'll reap the benefits of his performance. And
it's a very safe spot because Dykes is a year away from playing at all, and he's a rookie.
Yeah,
and we're not sure whether he's going to be destined for fullback or 5'8". Could probably do both. But whatever it is, he's still ages away. So Will Kennedy, from his side of it, can really just cement this spot.
Yep. And coming in probably to his prime years, he'd be about 25 by now.
Yeah.
And he's a fully grown man now. He has 60-odd appearances to his name, and he started the year on fire. So, I mean, long may it continue. I mean, I love Will, but I was very critical of his performances when he wasn't good.
Mm-hmm.
But when he plays well, like when he's like this, he's in the top. That top 8 bracket of fullbacks in the comp.
I saw him listed somewhere. Might have been a Fox thing.
I think I saw the same thing here. They had him at 8 or 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Around that mark.
So we haven't got official confirmation, Josh, from the Sharks, but it's as good as official, and that is we have a new forward, a new middle. He's from the Roosters. His name is Tuka Hai Tapua. That's just my pronunciation.
Sounds
I'm
right.
sure that, so we've got him for the rest of the year at least. Debuted for the Roosters in 2021. He's only played 3 games. He played also in the Maori All-Stars. He's 21, and he was named to play in the extended bench for the Roosters last week. Didn't get on the field. I was told he'd play for the Jets this week. He hasn't been named as far as I can see, so we'll put that off for a week or so. But unless something end of world has happened, he's a Shark by the time you hear this. And We need all the middles we can get. So that's positive news.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I even know what the guy looks like, let alone
He's
how
big.
he plays, but
Big body.
They said he's about 6, something and 100-odd kilos, so that's exactly what we need. We need a big dude to crash into the middle of the forward, so let's hope.
I want to hear from Fitzgibbon of the Craig variety and ask or be told if he's had any involvement with him.
If he's come through the Roosters system, I would say potentially
I think so, yeah. I'm just trying to work out the timeline.
I want to hear what Fitz has to say about him as a player and
Yeah.
just to give us maybe his thoughts on what he can offer.
So that's potentially exciting. Lower grades all look pretty good, Josh. Flegg, a 2 from 2. Defeated the Eels 34-14. Harvey Norman women's team defeated Wentworthville 36-10. Their next game is on Monday night, Josh, and I'm assuming you can watch that on the New South Wales Rugby League website
Facebook
or
app.
social.
Facebook usually play those, yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. Tarsha Sharks won 22-16. And the mighty Newtown Shark Jets had a big win over the Eels, 42 points to 12. Sam Stonestreet got a hat trick. He continues to evolve and grow. And yeah, they're all looking pretty good, all those lower grades.
So is that everyone in the Cronulla
Yes.
company
The bracket,
won?
yep.
Everyone won. That's
Yep.
great.
The Stonestreet thing's interesting. Like, he's re-signed, huge potential.
How many years did he sign for?
I think 3.
Oh, okay, that's a big commitment.
Yeah. And
From himself and the club.
You could throw him in this year and he wouldn't let you down. I don't know if he would dominate or not, but he wouldn't let you down.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to me because I think our wingers are so good. And I think particularly Katoa, and I know this will annoy a few people, but Katoa is so underrated, man.
I love him. I've had this debate with a couple of the guys on the Sharks group on Twitter that they think Stonestreet has to come straight in, and I'm just like, but we have probably arguably the best winging combination in the comp. Why would you break that out? And they're both still so young and with so much to go.
So half that argument I don't mind. Like, Stonestreet could probably come in sometime this year. I don't know about tomorrow, but sometime this year and play really well and grow and develop. But yeah, the point is, particularly with Katoa, his improvement has been out of sight.
Every year.
Yeah.
It's a steadily increasing.
And he was sort of, I think last year, the year before, sort of really solid. And he's kept that, but now he's an entertainer and he's a
big sexy.
He's big. Yeah, everything he does is exciting. So, and Ronaldo, he's got a lot of room to grow. We love him and he's amazing, but he's got so much improvement in him.
He's got easy potential to be the best winger in the game.
Yeah.
Easily.
If Stonestreet's the backup for a while, then that's awesome.
I mean, and that's my thing, is that Stonestreet could be incredible and probably will be. But
I don't think he would have, sorry to interrupt, I don't think he would have re-signed for huge money. But it is a commitment from both the club and the player, as you said. So there's an expectation almost like with Trindle.
Yeah.
It's like, well, he might become a guy for us.
Yeah.
Now, maybe in 3 years,
Things change.
Katoa's moved on. I don't know.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the plan.
Rugby league's a funny game. Things can,
Absolutely.
at the drop of a hat.
So I like Stonestreet signing, and I like the fact that he's killing it. And I guess we do always point out that both of our main wingers can find an injury.
Yes.
So it's smart. It's all smart. I just wonder, at some point, is some of that being held back?
Yeah. It's at what point there could be a point where the straw that broke the camel's back of something's got to give. I guess my big thing is that, like I said, regardless of how good Stonestreet can or might be, these guys have got the runs on the board. We know their first grade quality consistently for 25 rounds a year, and Stonestreet has everything to prove still, whereas these guys kind of have proven that. So I guess that's my only thing, is that if we take a risk on him, say we got rid of Katoa, and we take a punt on Stonestreet and he maybe doesn't live up to the hype, and we let go one of the best finishers in the game who's consistently improving, that could just backfire a little bit. That's my only concern.
Yeah. So we'll watch that space. Ultimately, it's a great problem to have. So
it's only good for us. This
Absolutely.
is an only good. By the way, I just checked that we have the Roosters after the bye at home.
Ooh, we might need Nico then.
Yeah.
I think that's all the news, Josh. I did want to ask you, as succinctly as you can tell me, about a recent experience you had at a rock concert.
So I went to see the band called Architects.
Yep.
They were supported by Thornhill, who I've mentioned 1,000 times on here, and another band called Counterparts. So 3 really good bands that I love. It was only about $100 too, whereas you'd pay about $200 to see Nicki Minaj or something, probably. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But they were great. That was at Hordern Pavilion. I went and met up with our good friend Cleve for a beer beforehand, and we watched the Sharks trial together.
Did he have any food in front of him?
I think he might have already eaten, unfortunately. Maybe he snuck it up.
Do you know what it was?
There might have been a 3-week-old hot dog or something. I don't know. But no, it was great. I hadn't been to a concert, and I decided about the day before to go by myself, and just so happened that Cleve was going. And it was a pretty wholesome moment right before the 2 bands played, and it was great. And then right before the Architects came out, they had this guy come out and do this amazing speech on domestic violence and the dangers of the male youth growing up in today's society. And he only spoke for about 5 or 10 minutes, but it was just, it was awesome to see that. You don't really see stuff like that at a metal concert, where it's quite aggressive and heavy. And to come out and have this really soft-spoken gentleman speak about, violence in families and women, and we have to be better to raise our males and give them guidance. So it was really powerful, actually.
Was the crowd respectful?
Very, very. Yeah. And I was, you always get a bit tense about those things when people are speaking about, PC culture and all that sort of thing. But everyone was really quiet, and I think when they understood that he knew what he was talking about, everyone really listened in, and he got a big cheer at the end.
Do you know who he was? Who was he associated with?
He was just friends with the band.
Okay.
So, and the Architects themselves are quite, woke. They're all vegetarian or vegans, and fighting to save the planet, and all their merch
which is awesome.
Their merch is recycled and all made from old clothes.
The influence that bands like that have on younger generations is priceless, man.
Yeah, it was a good show as well. They played about 2 hours.
Yeah.
So I think I got nearly 4 hours of entertainment for about $100. So
and league fans know them because the Fox Sports promo.
Yes, if you don't know who I'm talking about, if you watch Fox Sports, they're the heavier band that play through all the promos and everything. They're really good. They've toned down their heaviness a little bit over the years, so they might be more accessible for people. They're a bit more like dad rock now.
Hey, nothing wrong with dad rock.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for that, Josh. We do like to get 1% rock and roll in, and that's awesome. I love bands that have a message, so that is great to hear. We'll be back after the break to go through your mail. Stick with us. This is SharkCast Pod. The Royal Motor Yacht Club Port Hacking is a hidden gem of the Shire, situated on the banks of the beautiful Port Hacking. It's a great place to catch up with friends, celebrate your birthday or any special occasion, and they always show the NRL live on the big screens. They also have live acoustic music on weekends. Yachty's Bistro is open 7 days and nights for lunch and dinner, and they also do a phenomenal breakfast on weekends. If you mention SharkCast, you get a free garlic bread, baby. The RMYC Port Hacking, proud sponsors of this podcast and big supporters of the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks. Check out their website, rmycph.com.au. They've got a Facebook page, or you could go old school and call them on 02 9523 9300.
I'm just handing over possession to Cronulla in good field position now, right on the halfway line.
Eddinghausen and Green laying it on. Peachy's into the face. They're not going to get in. The young fullback scores for the Sharks.
Well, I'll tell you, it is one of the best scrum moves you've ever seen.
Welcome back to SharkCast Pod, brought to you by Dyson Logistics, the Royal Motor Yacht Club in Port Hacking, and Jason Hawes at Cripps & Cripps Real Estate. This is the mail section. Thanks for being in touch at SharkCast Pod on the DM, sharkcastpod@gmail.com. And the first one is from Michael. And I should point out, Josh, that we've had lots of Michaels and lots of Steves or Stevens writing in. So I probably won't add too much more information to the names. I don't have more information in some cases, but lots of Michaels and Steves. The first Michael says, farewell, no chat, but great content as usual. And this, actually, many people know who this is. This is Will Kennedy's biggest fan, Michael. And he wanted to write and say how great he was, how pleasing it was. He was actually at the game to watch him play live. And it's great to see the results for the effort that he's been putting in lately. He's come to 2023 with a focus and a hunger, and I completely agree with that. He said his combination with Trindle's very strong. Both are confident playing with each other, and you can see the link they have is quite effortless. Great to see Tricky playing in his right position, not overplaying his hand. And he said both players cop a bum rap at times from Sharks fans. It's good to see them a bit quieter this season so far as fans. Heartstopper of a game, plenty more to talk about, but up, Willie. Regards, Michael. So a lot of praise for Will Kennedy, a lot of praise for Trindle, and quite deservedly so as well.
Hard to disagree.
Yeah, so thanks, Michael, for being in touch. Don't be a stranger. We'd love to hear from you. Next up, we have Alan, who says, regarding the outdated facilities at Shark Park, which we discussed last week on the show, capital letters, never relocate from Woolooware. And I agree with Alan. I have to point out that if people write in respectfully and have their opinion about what they want or what they experience, I'm going to read it out. If Jardine Ormsby comes on and says, you've got to move, I'm going to hear him out.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean I agree with it, and quite often I'll say that. So I want to stay at Shark Park. Couple of points on the game against the Waterworms, which is a term our friend Cameron Webb came up with. The Sharks don't need a utility player on the bench. It was proven by the non-use of Tracy, who would have been better served playing for the Jets on Friday and getting game time. Sharks got plenty of forwards who can play in multiple positions. So what are your thoughts on that, Josh?
Agree with some of it and disagree with other portions. I'm always torn on a utility because it's great when you have an outside back go down and you go, oh, thank God we had Tracy on the bench. And then there's times where you could have really used another middle forward and you go, why is Tracy on the bench? So it's a difficult one. I don't know about you. I completely forgot that he was on the bench during the game. I completely didn't even register in my brain that he was there, which I don't know if that's good or bad.
I should have said it didn't happen to me, but I understand what you're saying.
Yes.
I kept going, where's Tracy?
On Alan's point that he'd be better off playing reserve grade, I think Tracy's at that point now where he's probably someone that doesn't have to play to get match fitness or anything. Like he's played enough first grade now. He's
reliable.
He's reliable. There's still something in me that just loves Connor and wants him in the team somehow, but I just don't see where he fits. But he's good to have in your squad.
He is, and I think that as the weeks go on, there'll be injuries, there'll be rep playing, there'll be suspensions. He's going to get a go. Where that is, I don't know. Does he belong on a bench? Man, it's like you say. It's when he's not required. Like last week, you go, well, we should have had a big forward. But then this week, if you don't have him there, which we don't at the moment, and then a back goes down or whatever, and someone can't cover that back, you're like, why didn't you play Connor Tracy? It's a hard one to win. I mean, I'm with Alan in a lot of ways that I love 4 forwards on the bench. It's just how I like the footy being played. But if you look at the NRL teams this year,
everyone's doing it.
Yeah, and a lot of it's down to the concussion situation.
Yeah. He is the perfect 18th man, right? If we had 2 concussions come down, you go, bring Connor Tracy on, we can shuffle the decks around. He's the perfect guy. But I want to see him play as well. It's just, he always gives you something. He gives you 125%. But
at the moment,
there's no spot for him as well.
Potentially centre, right?
Yeah. I mean, but even still, if let's say Siffer or Jesse go down, Kale Ito is probably the first one off the rank anyway.
Yeah. Alan also said his best players on Friday, in no particular order, were Trindle, Kennedy, Rudolph, Brayley, Nikora, Katoa, Wilton, and Mulatalo and Ueli. So
I have to say,
you've named half the team, Alan,
but
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Cheers and stay cool, up. Thank you, sir. Steve says, I had a quick look at some stats. We conceded 28 points in the first 10 minutes, either at the start of the game or first 10 minutes of the second half. That's 28 points of the 53 all up. That tells me the boys need to come out harder. So how do we solve that? We've spoken a little bit about it, but Josh, but how do we solve it?
I think that comes down to concentration and potentially fatigue as well. You've just got to understand that this guy's going to be tired, and a good decision making under fatigue is tough. And that's even coming out of half time. You don't just 15 minutes,
But they're starting that way and they're coming out of the sheds that way. So it's almost like they're better when they are fatigued, I think we're saying.
I guess, or you could argue that we're better once we get in a groove into the game as well. We find our footing, but
But how do we do that?
I don't know. I hate answering that I don't know it's like, how do you stop them from dropping the ball so much?
Or is it only because it's just 2 weeks in a row and it's not actually a pattern? It's just 2 weeks in a row.
Oh, no, because it is a pattern because we were doing this last year as well.
Okay.
I guess, and I think that's the $1 million question for Fitz. If he could figure that out, we'd probably win the comp.
Well, let's hope he figures it out.
Yeah, please.
All right, next up we have Michael. He says, great to win. Thought the forwards did a better job against Souths. I've lost my spot.
Jesse had a bad game, and to get away with it with a win is still a big positive.
Yes. And I think we all feel that way. He hates the crash balls. Brayley, who can't quit them, wastes the plays. He says he wants to see Williams back this week, which he will, which is great. And he's an expert in the Raiders, Michael. He lives in Canberra, knows about the Raiders. He said they manufacture nothing out of real quality. They rely on frantic tries, so leaking 4 tries against them will be unacceptable. Keep them to 16 and under. And I agree with all that. And I think that from what I saw, Papali'li's not playing and Rapana's not playing. So they're under strength. We should get them. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But he does say, what do you do with Trindle when Nico is back?
You probably drop him, don't you? Unfortunately.
If Moylan keeps playing well, you do, yeah.
Yeah. I just don't see Fitz. I don't see a world where Fitz drops Moylan probably at all, regardless of performance. I mean, that's his first choice halves pairing is Moylan and Hines.
Yeah.
We got that made us finish second last year. I know Trindle played a part in that, and I love him. As everyone knows, I'm one of his biggest fans, but there's part of me that would love to see Trindle and Hines have a month's run together to see what they could do. Because I think they've only played 1 game together as 7 and 6, maybe 2. But it's a good headache to have.
Does he go back to the bench?
Would you rather have Tracy or Trindle on the bench if you had to have a utility?
There's pros and cons. So Trindle is potentially your next half in the future years. He's looking good now. He gets experience. When he's not doing the crazy manic stuff, he's actually pretty calm when he comes on. It's not like every time he comes off the bench, he's crazy. We've seen examples of it, but we've also seen him play well off the bench as well. I think Tracy probably brings a bit more as far as, not X factor, but he's more in that kind of way.
If you were chasing points, you'd probably rather have Connor come on than Trindle.
Trindle might steer the ship a bit better.
Yeah, Trindle could come on and give Blake 15 minutes a break. Or the thing, I guess, how I look at it is Trindle can do 6, 7, 9, 13. Connor can probably do 1 to 6. At a pinch, he could maybe play in the middle at an absolute desperation.
Yeah,
but
he could do 9.
You get the different because they're so different. It just depends what you think you need. What Fitz wants. Does he want 1 to 6 or does he want spine and?
I think the way that we've seen him go, he would go with Trindle at this point.
I think so too.
So that's what you might see happen, and then with weeks like this, you might see just the 4 forwards and Trindle has a week off or he goes back down a grade. But it's, great problem to have. Another Steve has written asking about Jesse's weight loss, which we sort of covered before. And Steve said going off the trial game and the 2 games so far, he's nowhere near as damaging. He doesn't like the new version so far. So I'd say, Steve, just wait and see, hold off. Give him some time to get into the groove. He was more damaging this week than he was last week. So I think it's early days.
He's also probably got to learn to adapt to play at this weight as well, right? Got to give him a chance. Yeah. Even though he's poor, you've got to give him a chance to figure his season out.
We should hit up the Sharks and ask what the weight difference is if we can't work it out online with the websites and that kind of stuff, because
get Gaz in there.
Maybe it's just a bad rumor going around and maybe he's just dropped a little bit.
Maybe
it's
just his chest. I think it's just mostly his chest, right? That's what I've noticed.
Okay, Matt says, what do you guys make of Uncle Johnny Morris trying to lure Teague to Souths? I understand there are a few clubs interested in him. Should we be worried? I think he's going to be a really great player for us. There's more than a few clubs after him. There's 6 after him is what we're told, including Uncle John Morris. And you would have to think that they have the running, aside from Cronulla, to lure him. I think, without knowing Teague personally, there'd be a decision to make. I don't think it's clear-cut, I'm staying at Cronulla, and I don't think it's necessarily, I'm going to South. But I lean towards Cronulla. I really do.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can rule out the fact that John Morris is there. But how long is John Morris there for?
Yeah, as an assistant, it's never guaranteed, right? I mean, and you've also
he might get a main job somewhere else.
Yeah. And I guess also you've got that lure of, I think Penrith are one of those sides that are after him. Imagine him on a Penrith edge. Like, wow. I mean, but it doesn't matter what he does with his career, he's going to be a giant success.
Yeah, I think that the coach we have now, as ironic as that is, compared to his last coach, I think that the coach he has now will have a big say in him staying. And I think that, as we've spoken about, coming through the ranks, best friend is Blake Brayley. He's a local, he's invested, and I think it would take a lot for him to move, whether that's money, whether that's family. I can't say. But I can't lock him in for Cronulla. I just think we have the inside running.
I'm concerned only because I don't want to lose him. Not so much that I think he's going to go, but the prospect and thought of him leaving really worries me because he's probably going to play Origin at one stage in his career at some point, and maybe for Australia. And I want him to be in the Sharks jersey for the next 10 years and become one of our all-time best left edge players.
And it's one of those things we've developed him. We feel like he's ours.
And to see him succeed, it's always like kind of worrying when a kid comes through. You hope they become so good. And when they do, it kind of stings harder, like a vowel or something when they leave.
For sure. You can't say any more vowel leaving in this episode. That's your one. Okay. Thank you for being in touch. Matt, James says, looked like our boy K. Dykes was in the coach's box last week. Not too often you see someone that's only played a couple of games in the box. Could be nothing, or it could be that Fitzy's nurturing our next number 6. So I didn't notice that, but I believe every word James says, and that's pretty cool. And I think that does show some faith and some kind of acknowledgement from the coach to say, come watch it from our environment, learn from us, see how we see it.
Or does it show good intent from him to say, can I come up and be in there? Either way. Yeah.
Either way, it's a win-win, and I like it.
I'd love to be in a box for one game at some point in my life. I'd love to experience what
You'd fit right in.
Oh, I'd love it.
You'd be teaching them some words. So, James said number 6 for Dykes, and I keep floating that out there. But I do have to say, good friend of the show, Riccio, he almost shot that down when he was on the show and said, no, he's a fullback.
I agree with Riccio, personally.
I usually do too. But I was taken aback going, okay, you're not officially ruling him out as a 5'8", but that was an interesting take.
He seems like a more natural one to me, just off the eye test.
Sure.
Of going off, not much, but...
Wade has written in and said, how bloody good was that win last night? Obviously some serious things to work on, but the resilience and willing to fight back and hold on was amazing to see. Completely agree, Wade. Thank you for being in touch. Terry said, what an amazing game. Willie K had a blinder, probably his best game ever. Our forwards were outstanding, led by Dale, who was inspirational. Jesse had a shocker, but winners are grinners up the mighty Sharks. Spot on, Terry. Agree with all that. And can't give Dale enough of a shout out. I thought he was terrific.
And like I've said to you a couple of times, I'm convinced that Dale was concussed for that last 8 minutes. And when it kept going anyway, he's a workhorse and I love him.
Was last week with that first tackle when the other fellow went off straight away, the prop?
He had clashed with Dale.
And I thought, Dale's done already.
Yeah.
First tackle. So, thankfully, not the case. Roscoe wrote to us before the Eels game, but he said excited to see Hunt back on the bench. He brings that presence to the team. I can see him having that presence in the future. Similar to that of JWH for the Roosters, at least the positive side being the enforcer of a team. So that's something we've spoken about. We need that. And Royce is only here for 1 year at the moment. So
I'd like to see him extend again.
See how we go, yeah. And now we've got another Stephen writing to us. And he said, here we go. Again, with the roller coaster of footy, bring it on. A few things from the off-season. He's a fan of the current logo. So, we get into the deep, dark world of the logos. You are with him. So you and Stephen like the current logo. Beautiful. Watching the trials, he enjoyed Hazelton, Healy, and he thinks for now has a future. Lower grades, it seems like Felix Fatili has been a good pickup, strong performer, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him step up the flag at the conclusion of SG Ball. So Stephen's deep diving into the lower grades, which is great. On to the big league. Last year we struggled to defend the offload, and those issues still seem to be present. I'm not so concerned about wrapping the ball up, more being aware and ready if the ball is popped out. Canberra used this to great advantage last year and beat us 2 from 2. Hope the guys are ready for it. Now that's interesting before we move on to the rest of Stephen's stuff. The offload, especially against Canberra. If you remember, was it Gal's last game at home?
2 field goals from...
Gosh, even as far back as 2016 when the game at home anyway, when we were on our way down before we came back up.
Yeah.
And it was offload city. And that's how far back.
And they've been doing that to us for years. We haven't beaten them for a while,
No,
right?
we haven't. It's shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're all sort of saying lock up that ball and you might be able to beat them. So good analysis from Stephen. A bit of talk about Iro replacing Talakai. If it was up to me, I'd be using Iro to replace Ramian. He can be amazing, however my heart can't take the stress with the occasional brain snaps. On to our stadium. I love it. Certainly looking at it through rose-coloured glasses and coming at it from an angle where I have my seats, know where and when to go for beers, and rarely need to use the toilets. Not a fan of the new floodlights, however I'd rather our home ground than any other alternative offered currently. He makes a good point. I think it might have been RCB Online who made this point. When you have your seats, you know where to go for your quick drink lineup, and you don't use the toilet much. Happy days. It's when you kind of need to do all that stuff, or choose to do it, not so happy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a seat, but I go to the same spot every time, so I guess it's essentially a seat. But maybe if you're a fan for long enough, it's not hard to find a toilet in a bar. Do you know what I mean? Like if you come to games hard enough or long enough, there's signs everywhere. It's not a big place.
That's a good point.
And I know people complain about the toilets and stuff, and they're a bit grotty, but that's sports toilets. I just saw a video the other day of Manchester United, probably the biggest sporting company in the sporting club in the world. Their toilets are rank. There was urine coming from out under the ground. So
a bit like when Liverpool beat them 21-0 the other night.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make it all right.
It doesn't make it all right, but you're in the toilet for what, 2 minutes? I know I'm young and dumb, and I have
You're not that young.
Silly opinions on things sometimes. I just don't see
silly.
that it's the biggest deal in the world that a toilet smells of pee.
No. I think people are more concerned when they're not working, maybe, or they're overflowing, as you say, or just unusable, maybe.
Yeah,
for your
I
own
mean,
sanity. And
if there's an unusable toilet, you just turn around and go to the other one. I don't know. It's not that big of a deal to me.
It's tough fun for me because usually I'm sitting in my ivory tower and having a good time. So
yeah.
I'm looking down upon everyone.
I don't also go to the bathroom that much anyway, so.
I guess I just want to see it from everyone's point of view, and I want to give everyone
for sure.
say.
No, everyone's not like me. I know, and people
Yeah.
have issues with going to the bathroom or need to sit down or what. I totally get that.
Yeah. And Stephen says, finally, great to hear your little fella is into Nirvana. As a new father, I keep thinking about what music I'll be passing down, but all I can think of is playing all the stuff my old man pushed onto me. That's quite an interesting statement. I'm inspired now to come up with something. Thanks for the pod, and here's to a great season. So that's very lovely from Stephen. I definitely won't be offering any other parenting advice aside from get your kid into Nirvana.
What's Chester's favourite song?
He loves Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Of course.
I have said it before, it is my ringtone. So he heard it growing up, and then he obviously didn't realise it was a song. And he put the best of or whatever on, but he's quite into their biggest album, Nevermind. And
it's a great album.
He wears the shirt like most little kids do, but then occasionally, like I was hanging out with a good friend of mine on the weekend, and I said, he actually listens to the band as well as wearing the shirt, And I'm not knocking people who don't, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And my friend was like, oh, yeah, right on, that's awesome. And so yeah, anyway, my kid's in Nirvana.
I can't wait to make my young son or daughter be listening to crazy heavy metal. And
it does make me very proud. I grew up on this band. This band changed my life when I was at a very pivotal age, and not quite that young, but it's pretty funny. It's bizarre to me. I'm a dad now, and my kid's listening to Nirvana.
That's pretty surreal, right?
I mean, he listens to a lot of other things as well, but that's the cooler end for me. Anyway, we will take a break and come back and wrap up the show with a preview of the Raiders game. Stick with us. We're having a lot of fun here with Josh Bolling. Hope you're having fun too. Back after the break. Don't go away. SharkCast is supported by the best and most honest real estate agent in the Sutherland Shire, Jason Hawes from Cripps & Cripps Real Estate. He's an expert in the Caringbah region and has his eye all across the Shire. Lifelong Sharks fan and supporter of this podcast, if you're looking to buy or sell in the region, the person you need to be talking to is Jason Hawes from Cripps & Cripps Real Estate. Call him on 0410 417 450. That's 0410 417 450. Jason Hawes, Cripps & Cripps Real Estate.
Carney. Was that played at? Fafita's chipped ahead. Try to the Sharks. A miracle win. What about that?
Welcome back to SharkCast Pod. We are on the stretch home, but before we go, Josh, we have a game to talk about. Last game of the round, I think, Sunday, 6:15, down in Canberra. The Sharks have named a very similar team to last week. However, as we've discussed already, Jack Williams comes in for Connor Tracy. So your immediate bench will be McInnes, Hunt, Kaufusi, and Jack Williams, and that's pretty badass. And your extended bench is Connor Tracy, Thomas Hazelton, Mawini Hiroti, Jaden Berrell, and Dan Atkinson. So all those guys are pretty handy in their own way should they be needed. But I would think that that's how the team will stay. Connor Tracy will be 18th man, and they'll probably have Tommy Hazlitt hanging around as well on the day. Canberra, I don't want to tempt things here, Josh, but they still look under strength to me.
I don't believe in putting mocks on or anything, but that's a weak side. Let's be fair dinkum. No, without Papali as well. That back line is...
That's the big one. Papali not there. But yeah, their fullback is Sebastian Chris.
He's okay, but he's not a fullback.
I mean, their halves are probably their strength. They've got Jack Whiten and Jamal Fogarty, who's more than competent.
Jack Whiten's the key, right?
He's the key.
Shut down because he's doing everything at the moment for them.
Forward pack doesn't scare me aside from probably Tafini.
Hudson Young and Tapane.
Tapane?
Yeah.
Hudson Young's solid.
He's killed us in the past, the last few times.
Try, yeah.
And he's probably, besides Whiten, he's probably their strike weapon. So it's down to us containing Whiten and Young and Tapane, who will probably have a good game regardless, because the world-class forwards always seem to against us. So if we can minimise their impact, they should go a really long way to winning this, I think.
So their bench is Tom Starling, Trey Mooney, Corey Horsburgh, and Emre Goulet. And as I said, ours is McInnes, Hunt, Kafusi, and Williams. And I think that's a massive strength there.
There's a big difference there, isn't there? When Tapane and when they come off, we're bringing on Kafusi, Williams, McInnes, Hunt. It's just... It doesn't stop. The onslaught continues, and that has to play into our advantage. We have to be in front in that 25-minute mark. If we can be 10, 12-0, and we're bringing those guys on, look out.
Yeah, I think if we play smart footy, we can get it done. You got to have possession up. You got to do all your kicks, do all the boring stuff early, and then you can do your fancy stuff. But I think that we look at it on paper from what you've seen this year from both teams. I just think that we're going to do it and do it reasonably comfortable. You never know on the day what's going to happen. There might be injuries. It might be horrendous weather. I've got no idea. But all being well, I think we should get away with this one fairly comfortably. Head-to-head, Josh. Some people like this stuff. It's close. They've won 40. We've won 39. So we can even it up. They have, however, won the past 8.
8?
That's a long stretch.
That's like
I had to
4
double-check
years.
that. Yeah. They've kept us to 20 points or less in the past 5. And a whole bunch of them have been pretty close by 12 points or less. So they've got the recent history. That's fine. We know that Fitzy and Stewart have a relationship. He was coached by Stewart at the Roosters. They won a comp. He was Ricky's captain for a while.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool rivalry. The Raiders are 0-2 to start the season. As we said before, Jesse Ramian plays his 100th NRL game. Spent a year up at Newcastle, but the bulk of that with the Sharks. So looking for Jesse to have a big game no matter what. What's your predictions? What are your thoughts?
Well, it's an important game for a few reasons. One, after a pretty shaky start and some fans getting a little nervous going down the south, you go 2-1. That steadies the ship. Then you take some confidence into the next game, which might be winnable as well. I think we're in the middle of I took notes for this. We're in the middle of a away run period with Para, Canberra, and Dragons all away in a row.
Gotcha.
So if we could snag 3 out of 3 away wins, and then have a nice we have a run in with Warriors, then buy them Roosters.
Yeah,
could take a lot of momentum out of that and if we can get most wins down going to that Chooks game.
Yeah,
prove then really put the foot down and prove that we've learned a lot. That'd be tough, but if we can get a win there again, I'm not looking far ahead, but this is an important period with these 3 away games. That doesn't happen often in the NRL, so get a win here. Canberra, tough place to play at the best of times.
We did have a good away, we had good home and away last year. We didn't lose much, but factually we had a good away stretch last year, so that shouldn't worry them. They will go into camp. They go into camp a lot. I didn't realise how much this team goes into camp. Fitzy loves a camp. Parramatta last Friday, camp. Day only, but they go all out. Go to the hotel and do all their stuff, and they don't just rock up on the bus now before. So he's a very organised man, and I don't think the Triple A is going to hurt them at all. And I just think that if everything sort of falls in the line, I don't know about a margin, but I think...
Give us a score, Sam. Come on.
Oh, man. Oh, I see it's winning by 10.
Okay.
Yeah. Gosh, I don't know. Maybe like 24-14, 24-10.
I had 24-8 in my head.
Yeah.
I want to see a really dominating, tough, gritty defensive performance. Yeah. And because we know trials will happen, with this team, we'll just score points no matter what. Even if we're losing 50 points, we'll score 20. I want to see us put 20 on the board. Good attacking shape, good structure, patience, repeat sets. We haven't done that too much this year.
Yeah, what's that about? That's because no Nico,
No Nico, right? Yeah.
Mm.
Moiser loves one, but he hasn't. Yeah, Trindle's been doing most of the kicking. But yeah, I just want to see us be strong in the middle because that's Canberra's strength is through the middle, and then they hit that edge after they draw in our defensive line with your Whitens and your Hudgens and Youngs like we've discussed. So being strong in the middle, be committed to defence, and we should win 24-8.
24-8. I think that Whiten, as obvious as it is, he's your guy. Target him, and you go a long way to winning.
And he can lose his head pretty quick if he gets flustered, and if we get it stuck into him, he can fall apart. He's a great player, but he can lose himself sometimes. And
he's also not as great as what. I don't want to say this negatively, because it seems like I pull apart these guys, but in my opinion, Whiten is a very solid player, and he probably is your Origin benchy or whatever. But he's not like a lights-out amazing player. Like he's good at what he does, good at his craft, and sometimes it comes off, sometimes it doesn't. But I don't shake in my boots when we play Jack Whiten.
No.
Now, I'm not dismissing him. He could absolutely tear us up on a great day, but I do think he's containable.
100%. He's not like a James Tedesco at his prime or anything. He's a good player and will have to be switched on. And I don't know if he's going to be running at Moylan, which, Britton Nakora is going to need to be on his game.
I was going to say he does love a run.
T. Wilton, sorry.
He loves a run. So just be watching him. He's probably not going to pass too much.
And how many he scored last week with running on the last tackle, things like that. You've got to be switched on because it doesn't take much to change momentum in a game.
He's almost in the New Brown kind of dummy half try.
It's his game.
Not like that, but when he's 15 out, he's going to run.
And he's a big, strong dude.
He is.
Yeah.
He is. Now we're talking him up.
Yeah. No.
We love Jack Whiten. Josh, thanks for your time. It's very precious. We appreciate you being on the show. One last question, because it is the end of the show and we can talk about whatever we want now. Last of Us?
Last of Us, yep.
Done?
Season finale was yesterday.
No spoilers.
Thoughts
on the show itself?
I thought it was incredible. I actually have a Last of Us tattoo for years now.
I think I know this.
Yeah, I played both the games in and out, know every detail. The show was incredible, exactly what I wanted from the show.
Yeah, right.
And loved the actors, the directing, effects.
So we're going again without any spoilers. We're going again.
For season 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, they just confirmed today, actually, that the second game will be split into 2 seasons.
So there'll be 3 seasons all up.
Because the second game is there's a lot more happening in it than the first. So really looking forward to that.
So I'm only up to, I reckon, episode 6 or so. Was there 10?
There's 9.
9. Okay, so I've got 2 or 3 to go. Jardine is threatening to go online, or he actually hasn't threatened. He said he's going to go online and talk about everything within about 24 hours of you hearing this. So I need to catch up on 2 or 3 before he goes nuts, because I would follow him on Twitter and I see stuff and
unfollow him.
I might have to if I don't get my act together. But I really loved it, and everyone talks about the 3rd episode because it is amazing.
Yes.
It's amazing. If you haven't seen it, make sure you watch that episode. But overall, as a guy who's not totally invested into that genre, for whatever you want to call it, it's pretty good.
And I think people
get scary.
You get lured in by the zombies or the infected, as they're called, and
the infected, yeah.
It's an action, it's violent, but at the heart of it's a really good story about 2 people on a journey. And
yeah, I have to say, as far as the violence goes, because I really am a wuss when it comes to violence where it's not needed. I can tolerate it when it is kind of needed. It's been bearable.
I will say the game is a lot worse in that.
I played the game, yeah, but it's a game. That's fine.
And you need, I guess, and what the creators have said a lot, the guy who created the game has been an executive producer on the show. He said that, when you're playing a game, you need functions of gameplay. So you need more violence in a way and you need more action. Whereas the show, the characters are what matter and the dialogue. And obviously you need that stuff because it's a part of it and it's exciting and it's fun. But they never did it unless it was necessary to the story. And I love that. The show's in great hands.
What lured me in was the opening 20 minutes, which was just hectic. But you can just feel there's something building here.
Yeah,
and it builds pretty quick.
Yeah,
and then it's just let's go.
And you feel that in the game, like you go, this isn't just some shoot 'em up zombies. There's a lot more to this, and the themes and the way the story intertwines, and it's in the show every episode somehow relates back to Joel and Ellie.
Yeah.
And what he's going through and what she is and why they're intertwined.
Yeah.
Almost like destiny. Like it's brilliant. I love it.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'll have to get my move on, otherwise Jordan's going to spoil it for me.
And please let me know what you think. I'd love to.
I will.
Hear from you.
All I know is people have said, and I've really been trying to avoid it, but people have said the majority have said they were disappointed with the ending of season 1, but I don't think they were into the game.
Okay. We can talk on fair about this, perhaps. Don't want to ruin it for too many people.
Well,
Everyone should go and watch it.
In a week. Yeah, absolutely. And as I said, if it's not your wheelhouse, The Infected, which in inverted commas
it's not as
zombies,
bad as you think.
It's not, no.
But it's entertaining though. It's still good if you
It's
love
not for
that.
little kids. We have little kids listening, and if you're listening to these little kids, don't watch it.
No, I would say maybe 15 and up.
16 maybe.
Yeah, 15, 16.
Yeah. Who are we to tell people what to do?
Yeah, of course. I would have watched it when I was 10 probably.
That's right. What are we doing? You can't watch it because you're under 15. God.
There are some heavy themes, though, that you might not have seen yet.
To be fair. Yeah. All right, we're going to get out of here with our TV reviews, but we are looking forward to the Sharkies this week. Thanks for being with us. Appreciate it. I rambled a bit tonight, but there's reasons why. It's all cool. We will speak to you after we win again, Josh.
Yep.
And we'll roll the next week's episode. Thanks for listening, everyone. Up, Cronulla. Let's go. Hey, folks, we finally have some merchandise available. RugbyLeagueMerch.com is where you'll find SharkCast merchandise. RugbyLeagueMerch.com. Hats, T-shirts, stubby holders, coffee mugs, just for a start. A lot more coming in the season ahead. RugbyLeagueMerch.com. We've kept the prices down as much as we can. Check out the fine print for postage, but we do believe that Scott at Rugby League Merch is doing a great job. Happy to align ourselves with him, and any questions, please drop us a line. Check out rugbyleaguemerch.com for all your SharkCast merchandise needs, whether it's for you or a family friend or anyone else in your tribe. So check it out, rugbyleaguemerch.com.
Sharks forever. Go out and play without fear. Now's the time to see good football, for the Sharks are here. Sharks forever. Go out and play without fear.